Heidi ho, it's another hybrid style from Stillwater Artisanal. Fear of Ghosts with a super creepy label is what we're drinking. It's a smoked sour farmhouse wheat ale as described by them. Apparently it has Brettanomyces in it, which makes it extra exciting for me. 6% alcohol, so it's not quite like a Gretzer, which is the often 100% wheat grain smoked sour ale from Germany. But this one, I'm thinking Farmhouse implies Saison yeast, and also they say Brettanomyces, which wasn't in any of the Gretzers I've had, and some of the Gretzers I've had weren't even sour. But I've enjoyed the Gretzer style. I heard this one is pretty darn sour. I kind of like beers that aren't super intensely sour, especially if they're not like real complex fruity things. But we'll see. It's hard to kind of judge strangers' reactions to sourness levels in beer. I think this is somewhat fresh. I don't think it's any more than 2 months old. And there's a little bit of a haze and some sediment on the bottom. I had it sitting in the fridge for quite a while. I didn't hear much at all when I just opened it now. Well, no, we got some good carbonation. Very, very pale. Pretty substantial head for something that might be very sour. Super pale. And yeah, there's only a little bit of a haze. A lot of the yeast had fallen to the bottom really well. You can see that very clearly. Yeah, it's kind of a German Pilsner looking beer. It doesn't smell too sour. It's not overwhelmingly lemony like some dry hop sours I've had lately. They're just very tart and I don't get much hops happening. But with this one, there's definitely some chalky, slightly funky Brettanomyces going on. Over the top of a little bit of a lemony thing, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be too tart. And I'm not getting any Saison, at least right now. Yeah, it's just kind of like smoky, phenolic, slightly barnyardy Brettanomyces. Not getting much fruit really. Maybe just like some sort of chalky, sweet, tarty sort of things happening. Pretty generic. A little lemon, maybe a little bit of grapefruit. Ooh, that's tart. Not too bad, didn't make me pucker. The Brettanomyces was very present. It seems like the lactobacillus and the Brettanomyces are really meeting each other in intensity in this beer. And not too much smokiness. The smokiness is almost seems like it just comes from the Brettanomyces itself, because sometimes the phenols and such can make it seem like they're smoking it when it's a Brett beer. It kind of melds in really nicely. I wish it were a little bit more smoky, but it's a very good beer nonetheless. But it's definitely not a Gretzer style, which is really fun. Just super simple tart, very smoky, light ale. This one is 6%, so this is kind of there's no style to kind of compare this with. Really, it's its own thing. I can't even think of a style that really defines this beer. It's not like farmhouse ale, not really, because I'm not getting any Saison, and there's other stuff besides the Brettanomyces going on in this beer. I guess it's kind of Berliner Weisse, kind of like a slightly bready, barely smoky Imperial Berliner Weiss, which that label is dumb. It doesn't really make sense. So it really does defy classification, but it works out well. It's not too tart for me, though. I definitely will want to share this with someone. A little too acidic to drink whole 22 ounces of. It's It seems very dry, but there is a little bit of a sweet body in there. And not too much carbonation, but enough to make me burp. I've been trying to figure out if I can pick out some specific fruit flavors. Maybe like super chalky banana runts, but it's not anything like an Hefeweizen banana flavor, nor is it bubble gummy. It's really light on the fruity esters, just a little bit of orchard fruit, I guess, tart apple and pear. So it might be a little bit more of a subtle Saison yeast that's not even that big on the spices. And maybe there's a little bit of a clove and a little bit of a pear that's coming from Saison yeast. But no really big banana, bubblegum, juicy fruit exactly. But it's a nicely made beer. And they kind of just went subtle on all the ways. I guess it's probably more tart than it is funky Brett or definitely smoky. So it's probably just a tart ale first in terms of just describing the main flavor. That's definitely way more interesting than some of the dry hop kettle sours that have been coming out a lot lately. So it deserves maybe more than an 80, maybe 82 or something. But it's not really going to knock your socks off. It's a very well made beer. And, you know, a lot of stuff going on, but mostly in subtle, well integrated ways. I mean, still refreshing, even though it's and eminently quaffable, even though it's 6% alcohol and has a firm tartness, but it's really just like a little bit of a smoky, slightly smoky lemonade. Starting to get some more smoke building up sort of in my tongue. It's not quite bacon, maybe just a little bit band-aidy slightly, but it's not overly medicinally phenolic. And so I think that's probably that light touch with the smoke was good, because it could have easily gotten out of hand with the medicinal phenols maybe, but I'd like to see someone do something like this, but a little bit more smoky. So we'll do 82 for Stillwater's Fear of Ghosts.